Okay, we spent some time today looking at making a simple calculator program in class, and so I'm going to take you through it a little bit slower here and just kind of make a couple of changes to what we did. If you remember, we talked about if you're going to repeating a calculation a lot of different times, you should learn to program a calculator or get a download from places. It should, help out. You should have started accumulating some of these that you make your own, sharing with others, and then pulling them down off the web. I use the analogy in class that when you're drafting in AutoCAD or any kind of drafting program, if you see a repeating shape, something that's a tessellation in a drawing, or a repeating shape in a drawing, you should really think about making a block. You don't have to make a block right now, but you should think about it. Tessellations are covered all the way through K6 education nowadays, and so we need to cover them all the way through education. When it comes to AutoCAD, we do that with blocks. When it comes to something that's repeating, we think of a simple calculator program. So I'm trying to use this emulator here. It's freely available to download from a TI, and mostly what it also gets you is a way to link and store some of these products from TI. Let you store what you've got on your calculator, but like all calculators, the first thing is do is turn it on, check the mode, make it to be degrees, and maybe change the float. And we've got now that's set up. Second quit gets you back to the screen here, and though you can get to all commands by going down to the catalog, second quit here, you can really get to commands just as efficiently by learning some of the basic kind of functional groups that they're in. So we're going to be looking at program, and we're going to do what we did in class only, and then I'll lay out another one where we start using lists and lists of lists, which are matrices. I think Paul got that one right in class today. It's really, think of a matrix as a list of lists that can be added. One of the things you'll see you might use that for is perhaps a list of a bunch of data that you're kind of grabbing more and more data over time. For instance, maybe moisture content, where you have the sample identifier, the weight of the tin, the weight of the tin in wet, the weight of the tin in dry, and then some calculated numbers from down below that. And that would be a use of something we could put in a matrix. If there was one, you could put it in a list. Circle would be another. The circle math being, we talked about in class, maybe the radius, the diameter, the area, and the circumference, even though you only need one of those to calculate the others. But perhaps if you're thinking about a moving disk, then you might want to think about its center point in X, Y, and Z, its rotation about the X-axis, its rotation about the Y-axis, and its rotation about the Z-axis. And then perhaps it's that disk moving through time, and so even more data that could get stored if you're looking at animation. So here we go. We're going to go into the program. With the calculator turned off on us, which is fascinating for a calculator and emulator. I'm going to hit here mode, see if it remembered. It did remember. Second quit. We're going to go to program. You have choices. You can execute, you can edit, or new. In this case, I'm clicking over. I'm going to make a new. At this point, you can hit 1 or enter. If you hit 1, you get a new program. Second alpha locks the alpha lock. So I think what we wanted to do here, OP, perp, for purple pop. Very cool to have purple pop. Purple pop makes me flop. There you go, name, perp. Now you're in the actually beginning the inputs for your lines of program. You can do many things here. One would be to set the mode again. You might put it to degree or radian, etc. But in our case, we were being very simple, and we thought about a simple program as being asking a question, getting some input, checking the input, doing a calculation, and then sending the information out to the screen. And so we'll do that now. And I used input. In all reality, a better thing if you're just inputting single variables that you want to see on the screen is, in fact, it is prompt. So first, we're going to do a lot of the stuff in the program area here. input output. So a great one to do first is to clear home, kind of clear out the screen. The next thing we might want to do is go to input output, and we're going to actually prompt for variable alpha r. So it's going to ask for the radius. I hit an enter here. We're going to now do some mathematics on that r. We're not going to do any ifs and or if statements or while statements, but we're going to say perhaps second pi alpha r, the caret is for squared, and we're going to store that, I did that wrong in class, but into alpha a. I'm storing it into a variable called area. I'll continue now because we've stored the area. We could also say 2 alpha r stow to alpha d. And finally, 2 second pi alpha r stow to alpha c. And so you've laid out now that you have variables r, a, d, and c. And they're cluttering the world up, let me tell you that. So instead, you might go ahead now and hit enter. And you might put those each into a list or a certain list. So you could say this, r alpha r stow to second list, list 1, open parentheses, 1, put that in the first part of list 1. You could say alpha a stow second list, list 1, position 2. So the second in that list, you could say then alpha d stow second list, list 1. And we could have renamed the list, but really I didn't want to look up how to make a new list. It's by forming something in the dimension variable. And then finally, alpha c stow alpha second list L1, the 4th position. You can finally then, you can display, instead of now displaying R, A, D, and C, I can just do display, which is program, input, output, display, alpha list. It's not what I wanted, it would appear. Alpha list. Oh, I don't want an alpha list. Second list. L1. Enter. And then finally program end or stop. I think it's stop. So let's look at this program to review and realize what we really are going to start doing is putting things in matrices and doing a little bit more filling this out. You're going to notice when this thing runs, the information, the questions are up near the top. What we're going to reserve later is the bottom part of our screen from a more substantial set of questions. Really, in this program is too simple. You're just inputting R and getting some real basic information there. It's not bad. What I want to point out, like I said before, is the unit thing is the issue. Let me finish out here. Say second quit. Hit program now. Exec. You run the program. R of 2 and there's your list and it's stored. Thanks for listening. That should work.